Hey, what's up everyone, GameDad here, and we are back with part 2 of my current Game Gear collection. So, last week showed you part 1 and went through all those games. We're going to do the same thing this week, tell you a little bit about each game, when they came out, and who developed them, and show you a little bit of gameplay footage. So, come with me as we check out the games on the list for today. F-15 Strike Eagle was released by NMS Software in 1993. Now, this is your typical kind of, not really Top Gun, but typical fighter pilot kind of game. You're going around, you're blasting all the baddies in the sky, and just having some, in the cockpit shooter kind of fun. So the game is okay. A little too wordy for my taste for this kind of game, but it was alright. Up next, we've got Formula 1, released by Tech London in 1993, and this is your typical kind of like indie arcade racing game, but honestly, even though it's Game Gear graphics, it's really bad. The graphics are just not good in this game, and there are much better racing games on this handheld. And here we have G-Lock Air Battle, released by Sega in 1990, and this is one of the earlier games on the handheld. It's pretty good, it's not great, and they definitely came out with some better ones as time went on, but it's got some decent graphics for it. The controls are pretty easy to get used to, and it's pretty straightforward. You just find the enemies and shoot them out of the sky. Up next is Garfield Caught in the Act, released by Novotrade in 1995, and this is your typical kind of platformer, but with Garfield. So pretty cool. I remember watching the Garfield cartoon and reading the comics and stuff like that when I was a kid, so kind of neat to see a video game of it. The colors are pretty good. The animations are a little weird at times, but overall, it's actually a pretty decent platformer on the Game Gear. Up next is Hallie Wars, released by Act Japan in 1991, and this is a vertically scrolling top-down shooter. And it's super fun. I mean, as far as shoot-'em-ups go, the game has everything you would expect. You get some little bullet hell kind of areas, but nothing crazy. And it's just good, clean shoot-'em-up fun. Up next, we have Home Alone, released by Al Baker and Associates in 1992, and I have no idea what this really has to do with Home Alone. I mean, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I don't remember a part where he's sledding through the neighborhood or anything like that. So, kind of weird. It's kind of like a racing game and the gameplay that you're seeing. But yeah, I don't know. Not that fun. I'd rather play one of the actual console versions. Up next is The Incredible Hulk, released by Probe Software in 1994, and it's exactly what you'd expect. You play as Hulk and you smash stuff. So it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It's pretty cool. He does have some pretty neat actions that he can do. He can kind of grab people and headbutt them. He can like kind of throw them across the screen, stuff like that. And then, of course, Hulk can smash. So that's pretty cool. And actually, graphically, it looks pretty darn good. Up next, we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, released by Tiertex in 1991, and this game is actually really good on the Game Gear. Graphically, it's very impressive. They have lots of different shades and stuff like that in all the character models and the level design. Overall gameplay is pretty good. Jumping can get a little weird at times, but the game is actually a lot of fun for a handheld Indiana Jones game. Up next is Jeopardy, released by GameTech in 1993, and boy, is that a black-haired Alex Trebek on the front. And the game, I don't know why in the game he has white hair when he doesn't on the cover of the game, but I mean, it's Jeopardy. It's exactly what you would expect. You get your categories, you get the cost of each thing, you go in and you answer. I will say it's pretty hard to get the answers out quickly just because you have to spell it all out, but I mean, yeah, it's Jeopardy. And here we have Jeopardy Sports Edition, released by GameTech in 1994, and the gameplay, as you can see, even graphically, is identical to the other Jeopardy game. They just changed the question banks. It's literally the same game, just new questions. That's it. They were kind of lazy with it. Up next is Joe Montana Football, released by Blue Sky Software in 1991, and unfortunately, no matter what I did, I could not get my Retron to play this game. It just would not work. I cleaned it, I used Bright Boy on the game, everything, nothing would get this game to come up on anything but the actual handheld. So the gameplay is okay. It is one of those games that actually use a link cable, so that's cool, but overall, just another sports game. And up next we have The Jungle Book, released by Xerox Developments in 1993, and I actually have both the North American and European versions of this game in the collection, and if you're wondering if there's anything different, nope, just the label on the cartridge itself. Gameplay is pretty good. It feels kind of like Lion King gameplay in these parts of the levels, but overall, I mean, it's just a generic Disney platformer, nothing super crazy or special about it. The music's pretty catchy and sounds good on a Game Gear though. Up next is Jurassic Park, released by Sega in 1993, and I don't know if there's more to the game. I didn't have a lot of time to put into playing hours of this game or anything like that, but this whole part reminded me of like Super Scope games where your character is auto moving along and you just got to shoot stuff on the screen, except there's no scope. You just use the D-pad. But I mean, I guess it's entertaining. And up next we have Krustys Funhouse, released by Audiogenic in 1992, and this is a very bright, very vibrant platformer set in the Simpsons universe where you actually get to play as Krusty the Clown. So I thought that was pretty cool. The gameplay is interesting. I mean, you can see you kind of get like some moon graphics on the jumps and stuff like that. They can be a little hard to control, but overall, I mean, it's just a Simpsons platformer. Up next is The Lion King, released by Xerox Developments in 1994. And personally, I don't really care for the Game Gear version all that much. I do like the Genesis version, and I do like it like on actual consoles, but overall, I didn't really care for it on the handheld. Graphics weren't that great, and as you can see here, I didn't have any footage to show because, again, the Retron 5 just would not let me capture any kind of solid footage. And here we have Madden NFL 95, released by Tiertex in 1995, and it's exactly what you'd expect. It is a handheld Madden game. When they do these little, like, quote-unquote cutscene kind of things right here, the graphics aren't that bad considering what it's being played on, but the overall gameplay I have seen much better in a handheld and much better from the Madden series. So it wasn't that great, and I'm not really a fan of sports games to begin with. Now here we have The Majors Pro Baseball, released by ITL Company Ltd. in 1992. I don't know if they released a lot of stuff, but that is a mouthful of a name, and I couldn't get this game to go past that initial menu screen. That was about it. So I'm showing it to you twice. Up next is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, released by SIMS in 1994, and in this one, it's pretty sweet. You get to go through, choose which ranger you want to go as, and then you go beat 'em up style throughout all the different levels. As you can see here, I just chose Red Ranger, taking out some putties, and yeah, I mean, pretty solid Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game, and honestly, the colors and the sound are a lot better on this handheld than, say, the Game Boy Color. And here we have Mortal Kombat, released by Probe Entertainment in 1993, and yet again, one that just would not work capturing through the Retron. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe just some of the games don't work through the little 3-in-1 adapter that they provide, but I cleaned the heck out of the game and took a little Bright Boy to it. Works fine in the Game Gear itself, but it will not let me capture the footage. But it's classic, original Genesis-style Mortal Kombat. And last up for today's video is Monster Truck Wars, released by Gremlin Interactive in 1994. And luckily, this is the last one in this video that you guys have to put up with no actual gameplay footage because the Retron let me down again. There are a few games throughout the collection where it just does not want to play the games and allow me to actually get some footage for it. But it's a pretty fun game. Monster trucks destroying stuff. So there you have it, everyone. That is everything on the list for part 2. Make sure you tune in next week because we will have part 3 of the collection series. Now, if you liked today's video, please let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so you can alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.